Mom, can we go to McDonald's when you're done with work?
I don't know, honey. It depends on the time.
Please!
I said I don't know.
Please!
I don't know.
Please!
Bobby, how was your day at the farm?
It was great. I mean, I wish I could tell you everything that happened. Let's see what happened first. When we got there, first thing we saw was the chickens just running all around, and I never saw a live chicken before. And that peacock chased me, and I had to run over. I had to jump up in the back of the pickup truck, and it was the mostest fun that I ever had.
Everyday examples of things like birds and flowers to point out how much more God cares about people. So why do we doubt and stress about the future? Contentment has a lot to do with our perception. Some of us are more prone to look backward at the past, while others are always wishing for what. Jesus really sets the scene here, using everyday examples of things like birds and flowers to point out how much more God cares about people.
Mom, you said we could go to Toys R Us later.
Baby, I'm sorry. We're running late. We don't have any more time. We're not going to be able to go.
Smart family, yes. So we're going to learn this next 3 weeks how to be a smart family member. All of you are products of parents. Raise your hand if you are, in fact, a product of parents. Raise your hand. Okay. A few of you aren't, which I've always suspected. Dennis. What, cell division? You didn't raise your hand? How did you come up? So we all get here because of parents, for good or for bad. Whatever mistakes our parents made, we know by the time you're an adult. You can list a few of those. I know my mother, there's phrases that haunt my memories to this day. She would always say, in a group of us, there was 4 of us kids, and she would always point to usually me and say, "Don't get smart with me." That was one of her commands. Don't get smart. So I'm going to say, don't get smart. Other times she'd be ready to leave, and she goes, and don't get any ideas either. She would point at me and say, don't get any ideas. Got you? And the other time she would say, she'd have to look over her shoulder, and don't try anything either. Don't try anything. So now I'm an adult, and I'm not smart. I don't have any ideas, and I don't try anything. So I have heeded her words very well. And that's what we're going to look at. So if you are a product of parents, you need to perk up this morning, because if nothing else, if you've been long out of the house, there are all kinds of principles for us to pick on. But if you are still a kid under your parents' guidance, then this morning we have lots of insights for you. The question we're going to be asking this morning is, who do you listen to? It's a good question to ask anyway. Who am I listening to? Because it makes or breaks you, whoever you're listening to. There's a statistic, a very disturbing statistic, that is not that surprising when you consider all the decisions we make on a regular basis. When you're lost, remember those days before GPS, and sometimes with GPS, but you're in a strange town. How did we get so, where is this place? I can't even find the name of this town. I don't know where we are. And you need instructions. My destiny of my family rests on who I ask at this point. So you pull up to a gas station, which in our minds is the epicenter of intelligence in any given town. Right there. There's ground zero. And so you pull up, and there's some guy that's just standing in front of the gas station. That apparently is his job, to stand in front of the gas station and give directions to people. Because when you ask him, hey, can you tell us how to get back to the interstate from here? Do you have alternate directions from other places? From here would work out best for us, yeah. So, all right, here's what you do. Now, this is what he's been living for. He stands there for apparently 10 hours a day, hasn't taken that John Deere cap off in 17 years, but he stands here for the specific purpose. All right, here's what you do. You go through 3 red lights down here, you turn left, you go through another 2 red lights, you turn right, and you keep going, you can't miss it. By the old Wilson place. Oh, by the old Wilson place, okay. Because when I was about 10 years old, I memorized where the Wilson place was for this very moment. But I have now, and so I drive, okay, thank you, and I drive up and I realize I think I found pretty much, demographically speaking, perhaps the dumbest guy in this town, okay? The one guy who does not have a job, the one guy who's standing there who has no other ambition but to count stoplights. I also resent the fact that he's telling me to go through stoplights. I don't know how the rules are around this place, but I think that's illegal to go through stoplights. And he told me to go through 5 of them. But the guy with the John Deere hat told me to go through the stoplight, officer. That never works. But that's how we are in life. We're like, I'm looking for directions, and I just grab whoever's near. Whoever's available is generally who I listen to. I remember a scene from high school I don't know if your high school was like mine, but there was one particular bathroom was like Amsterdam. Not meaning that people wore wooden shoes. It meant, or handed out cheese. It meant there was like the drug central bathroom. And I can remember a scene that played out many times over. Guys who like had to get the hall pass to go to the bathroom and end up getting stoned. And so they're in that bathroom. Dude, I don't know if I'm ready to go back to class. I'm not sure if I look stoned or not. Then they turn to each other. Dude, how do I look? At the other stoned guy, they ask. It's like, dude, you look totally cool. No one can tell. Okay, so do you. All right. And off to class they go. And like, how does that teacher always know what we're doing? Because you asked the other person exactly the same situation. And that is really the crux of the matter this morning, is the fact that who we listen to is pivotal to whether we will be a success or not. And most people make the mistake of getting advice from whoever is nearby, and especially is true when you are a kid growing up in America. Because there's an actual disturbing statistic that says that ages 10 through 16, when you need the most guidance in your life, when you're making way too many big decisions, 67% of kids in America talk to the professionals. No, talk to the parents. No, they talk to kids their age. I need some expertise. This is the most vexing situation I've never been in before. Who can I ask? Hey, other 13-year-old. Let me ask you this question. Oh, I got some advice. Now, if you're a 13-year-old this morning, you're like, well, I kind of resent that. I don't always ask people my age. Sometimes I get online and read comment threads from other 13-year-olds. So it can't be wrong. Come on. And that's the problem. The problem, people make bad decisions because they're asking the wrong people for advice. Oscar Wilde was this Irish dramatist, writer, among other things, intellectual, and he visited America, and this was his impression coming from, the UK to America. And he says, in America, the young are always ready to give to those who are older than themselves the full benefits of their inexperience. He was a sarcastic fellow, that Oscar. But that was his impression 150 years ago of America. Even back then, America is this wild frontier where only the most crazy-eyed adventurers looking for adventure tore up roots and came to America, and it created this little weird petri dish in the world where what will society be like with people who are fiercely independent and are very cautious of authority? What happens, and then what happens is 2012 America. Even back then, Oscar Wilde says, people who are 19, hey, I'm 19, I know some things. Let me give you some advice. Oh, 40-year-old, let me tell you how things really are, because I'm 19. And we have things weirdly reversed. So Paul, 2,000 years ago, in a society not that much different than ours, with the same emphasis, says to this, and turn with me if you will, Ephesians chapter 6. If you have your Bible, see, then you can memorize in your head. I think you might be missing this opportunity. When you have your own Bible, you can I know it's on the left side of the page, and it's on this side, and it's going down. And then next time you want this, you'll remember where it is in your Bible. No one's flipping. I'm preaching to deaf ears. We have the thing on the floor, dude. We don't need you. Okay. Plus it's up here. All right. Whatever. I'm just telling you, just planting the seed there. Children. Now there's more instructions for others. So we're not picking on you today, children. Well, yeah, okay. We are picking on you. But know this, in the coming weeks we will be picking on other people. But today, you. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Just for the record, that in the Lord thing is not magnifying parents, if you think you can get out of it that easy. My parents aren't in the Lord. I don't have to listen to them. That's not what it's saying. In the Lord, you should obey your parents, for this is right. Honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with a promise, And it continues, the promise is, so that it may go well with you and that you may enjoy long life on the earth. Now, both those elements, as we're going to come to see, are very important. Long life, if you're not enjoying it, is not a gift, okay? But enjoy long life on the earth. Ephesians 6, 1 through 3, Paul is quoting one of the 10 commandments, number 5 to be exact. Now, I think, correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, I think it's number 5. So first of all, kids, this is for you kids and former kids, it's for you as well. Lots of insights for everyone this morning. The first thing I want to say, which is not in the verse, I just want to step to the side here and in parentheses say, here's the first thing. As a parent now, here's the one thing I want you to do. Understand how rough it is for your parents. Okay? I don't know if you can see through that. I think I can pick one exact day in my life when the Lord said to me, you know what, I don't think you fully understand the anguish your parents are going through. And he like parted the curtains. It's a longer story I won't get into at this moment. But I remember thinking, whoa, these people really have it rough. And that's what I want you to understand, your parents. These people have it rough. Because there is really no good training course that's going to prepare you for everything. There's books you can read, but none of the books exactly agree with each other. And there's 1,000 opinions out there. And there's 2 pictures I know from being a parent that I've thought about. I thought parenthood, I remember wrote this in my journal one time, parenthood is flailing in the dark with your fingers crossed. I don't know what I'm doing here, but I'm hoping this is right. I don't know. I don't want to tell my kids, by the way, kids, what I just said, I'm not sure if that's right, but I'm hoping it is. You don't want to say that. But inside, I'm like, boy, I hope that's right. The biggest surprise I had as a parent was how many times you have to wing it. How many times you have to come up with something off it? Because I wasn't anticipating this. They didn't warn us about this. When I had all the insights about child rearing, that is to say, when I was childless, I had so many insights. Tell you what I would do if I was that kid's parent. Man, did I have the wisdom was just pouring out of me. Would that someone had taken notes on me back then, because I was just rifling. That can't possibly be the right word. Rifling? I was rummaging, not also the word. Okay, I was replete. There we go. I was replete with all kinds of insights, and I didn't know. So now kids is like, so now I walk in a room and something unexpected. I told you, and then well, you know what's going to happen now, don't you? Now they're all looking to me. What? This affects our future. What is going to happen now? Well, now, little voice inside says, well, what? What are you going to tell them? Other little voice, I have no idea. I don't. Now, things are going to happen. I can promise you that. I'm going to talk this over with your mother. I have no idea. It's like, should I tell them I'm just winging it all the time? I have no idea what I'm doing. The other picture I have of parenthood to just help you, experience the anguish is trying to function when there are people, when there are voices shouting in your head. Now, sometimes there are literal, if you're a parent, voices shouting all the time, okay? And it's the kids who are shouting, But in our society, in this present day and age, there is so many different voices shouting at you. Don't be a control freak. You're being a control freak. You're trying to control them. It's like, yes, I'm trying to control them. And then the other thing is like, whoa, you're being too lax. Being too lax. Dr. Phil will say something about being lax. And then you read an article online about you need to be more concerned about their grades. I'm not pushing the grades enough. I'm not pushing it. And then you read some article in some magazine somewhere. It's like, you're being too controlling. You're being freakish about these grades. It's all about your ego, isn't it? Yes, I suppose maybe it is. And then over here, you're smothering the kids. Some episode of Oprah. You're smothering the kids. And then something you read online is like, you're emotionally distant. Yes, maybe I'm emotionally distant. And then some little voice that says, your parents would never handle it like this. I'll tell you, your dad would never put it. Yeah, you're right. My dad would never put up with this. I'm going to channel my dad. And then on your way to channeling your dad, you're like, wait a second, I don't like the way he handled that. Come to think of it. That's why I'm screwed up. What's going on here? And all these voices, if you can get a picture of what that is, that's what it's like every day of your life as a parent. Every single day. I don't know about, is this right? Is this too? Is this, I don't know. I don't know. God help me. God help me. I need help. Now, we're not going to look that insecure to you, kids. Obviously, we have to put on our brave face. Oh, yeah. My dad seemed to always say things like he had memorized it out of a parent manual. And I realized he didn't know. He had just as much idea as I. Okay, well, from now on, you're going to put that every third Tuesday. You're going to slide those into the second shelf, repeating every other one with a green dot. He would have these. How does he come up with this stuff so immaculately fast? Making it up. That's what it is. And at this point in your life, kids, by the fact you're old enough to be in here, you've realized something, this secret. My parents make mistakes. Oh, really? You just now figuring that out? Okay. Parents make mistakes. And the reason they make mistakes is because their parents make mistakes. And the mistakes they make will help you make your own set of mistakes, okay? You'll either be trying to overcorrect theirs or trying to correct theirs, whichever one you're trying to do. We know this from that we have a small group of parents of teens class, and we've all concluded many times over, one of our mantras is, you will screw up your kids. It's a question of how and to what degree and where, okay? It's going to happen. That's just part of it, because we can't seem to shake off this condition known as humanness. If you can work in some cyborg parents somehow, that's your only way out of this. Otherwise, if you're stuck with the human models, get used to it. They are going to make mistakes, and you are going to make mistakes. And the same mercy you would like for yourself when it's your turn to be the mistake maker is what you'd extend to them. So that's just a little aside in parentheses before we get to our scripture to say, understand how hard this is. It's hard. Now, let's go back to the words of Paul. One thing that Paul says here, it's very Eastern Hemisphere, very Asian. Asian, what? Paul was Asian, as was Jesus. I always like to blow people's mind with that. What? Continent of Asia, ergo Asian. Okay, so little insight from the Asian one. It really does make a difference. Eastern Hemisphere thinks differently than the Western Hemisphere, and this is insights from the Eastern Hemisphere, which says, honor your father and mother. Honor. Now, there's a lot of variations of the word honor, but I think the simplest, most important thing for you to know what honor is I would say that honor is obeying when you don't agree. Okay, there's all kinds of aspects of honor, but for your purposes, that's what honor is. In the Eastern Hemisphere, honor. I will do this because you are in a position of I will obey you. It's like, yeah, but how about this? How about I obey them whenever I agree with them? Because if I don't agree with them, I'm not going to obey them. And that's like saying, I'm only on a diet when I'm not hungry. That's the whole point. Of course, you're not obeying them if you already agree. That's what you were going to do anyway. Honor means, even though I don't agree with you, you are in a position, yes, sensei, I will honor you. I will obey you when you don't agree with you because you might have an edge over me on the intellectual and experience scale. We'll come back to that one. But it is fascinating to see when you look at our society and how weird, and this has been pointed out many times, other cultures still to this day, my grandma's revered. When grandma speaks, everyone listens. My grandma spoke, and we all stopped talking. And that's some cultures, because grandma knows. Grandma has got age. She's got this added benefit of age. But in our crazy Western civilization, we don't think that way. Somehow it's like a disability, some handicap. Ooh, you're old. I remember thinking, I've seen, celebrities that you haven't seen in like 10 years, they haven't been in a movie. Then you see them like, wow, did she get old? Ooh. You say it like, if she'd have been more disciplined, this wouldn't have happened. If she had if she was of noble bearing, if she had a better constitution, if her character was better, she wouldn't let this happen. The only alternative, as has been pointed out, to old age is an early death, and that's no good either. But we look at, what do you have to say to me? You're old, meaning in some cases 35. You have nothing to say to me. When in fact, it's exactly the opposite. It's just simple math. If you've got more years of experience, you know more things, okay? You've seen more. Age is an advantage. Now, I can say this, but I know our society doesn't say this very often. Ooh, what are the 19-year-olds doing? Ooh, we want to hire someone really young for this position. One bright and shiny and young-looking. That's what we want. Instead of realizing hindsight equals insight. Yeah. You get really wise by looking at your mistakes, or for that matter, the pain you've gone through equals your passion. Your mileage equals your message. Ooh, I can keep going. The wear equals the wisdom. The wear on the tires is wiser. That's what it should be, and that's what the Bible emphasizes. It's simply math is what it amounts to. Honor. There was a statistic I ran into a few years ago that disturbed me, and so it set me to pondering. And it was this. I was looking at statistics of sexual activity, sexual activeness in various cultures. And I read Japan, at that time, Japan, this is for 15-year-olds. 15-year-olds in Japan, 6% of 15-year-olds in Japan are sexually active in any way. And that included in any way. Okay, so 6% is like, wow. Does that seem low to you? Yeah, it should seem low to you, because that's not what it is in America. In America, at the same time point, give or take 3, depending on what statistics you look at, 43% of 15-year-olds are sexually active. So there's only 6% of Japanese 15-year-olds, and there's 43%. Well, maybe religion is a factor. Christianity, the predominant religion of America, forbids sex. I'm not saying all Christians practice this, but I'm saying it does forbid that. Unless you're a married 15-year-old, you're not supposed to be sexually active anyway. Jesus said, and Jesus was quoting Moses when he said it, "For this reason a man shall leave his father and his mother, and he shall cleave unto his wife," a sexual term, cleave unto his wife, not girlfriend, not fiancée, but wife, "and the two shall become one flesh." Very clear. Jesus quotes Moses. Paul later quotes Jesus quoting Moses. All through the Bible, this is very true. So you think, so the country that's Christian, that follows the Bible, seem like they would have less people, but 43 to 6, no, that's not less. What's the predominant religion of Japan? Only 4% of Japanese are Christian, so it's not that. Seems like, how are they coming up with different numbers? Shintoism, Confucianism, Buddhism, Taoism, all this of that ilk is the predominant religion of Japan, or some mixture thereof. None of those religions forbid sex if you're 15. Like, okay, now this is getting most vexing. So how is this? So how is there that much less? This is really weird. The religion doesn't forbid them, and yet there's way less Japanese students at age 15. What is happening here? So I called up a friend of mine who was Japanese, and I said, I feel kind of awkward asking you this, but these are statistics from Japan. And you're Japanese, so you might have grew up in Japan. So you might know something here. I'm not trying to racially profile, but you being Japanese, I thought, gave you an edge in the Japanese question. He was fine with that. I was over-explaining, it turns out, which we tend to do, don't we? So he said, no. So I gave him the whole thing. Okay, this, and this. Why? Why is that? And he said one sentence that he thought solved the issue. He said, yeah, the parents discourage it. And, no, that's it. Parents discourage it. Parents discourage it and then beat their kids when they violate them? No, they just discourage it. Like, that's it? Boy, Japan is really different than the United States. That's it? That's what causes low sensitivity. So parents yelling at you and your God yelling at you don't inhibit behavior. But somehow your parents discouraging if you grow up with the honor system. And that's the big thing to tack on to that. If you grow up with the honor system, yes, sensei. It doesn't matter if I agree with you. It doesn't matter if my hormones are screaming at me. It doesn't matter. That's what honor is. Honor is I will. And if you've seen even the smallest modicum of karate movies to know, Karate Kid, that's their entry-level karate movie. You know, you bow to your opponent. Do you want to bow to your opponent? Do you feel this great respect? No, you just do. He's your opponent. You bow to him. Yes, sensei. But I don't feel like bowing. This is your first day of karate class and your last day of karate class, if you say that. I don't feel like bowing to him. Bye, hit the road. It's the honor system. Because of where you are, I will honor you. And children, you have been assigned these parents, and they have been assigned to you, and you've been assigned to them, and you must honor them. I must honor them. Even when I disagree with you, I don't agree with that, but I will honor you. And the good news is, you will live longer. That's what the command says. You will live longer in the earth. You will enjoy long life upon the earth. How exactly does that happen? Well, let's look at that promise then. How will I live longer? It's actually a very simple little principle, and if you'll get this in your head, if you're a child, and remember, to answer the question, who should I listen to? Here are the 3 components of who you should listen to. You should not listen to anyone who does not love you because they don't care, okay? You should not listen to people who don't love you. So first of all, there's love, okay? Someone who loves me. Okay, well, my friend Chippy, he loves me. He doesn't say he loves me. That would be weird, but I mean, we've known each other for 2 years now, and I'm sure my friends already love. So far I can listen to my friends. Okay, if you contend that Chippy loves you. How about knowing you? Oh, Chippy's known me since 5th grade. Okay. Someone who knows you, and then someone who's been there, done that. All right, that's the final thing. Yeah, Chippy's not real high on that meter, is he? Okay. He's got as much life experience as you do. But you'll come to find out that if you could get this, you get 3 circles, whatever that kind of diagram is called. Somebody who loves me more than anybody else, somebody who knows me more than anyone else, and someone who's got more experience than anyone else. If I could find a person in that category, you know who you're going to find. Mom and Dad. Nobody loves you like your parents do. Oh, yeah? My parents are on me all the time. My mother's always riding me. And this you misinterpret as not love? Friends, generally speaking, will not love you enough to get in your face when Lord knows you need someone in your face. It's like, I don't want to pay that price. I don't want to create social discomfort for myself by scolding you, when in fact inside I'm thinking, not a good move, dude, but I don't love you that much. Your friends don't love you that much. Very few of your friends, when things get tough, they'll scatter in the wind despite what they tell you on Facebook. Okay. Knowing you. Knowing you. No one knows you like your parents. Your parents have noticed personality traits in you from the moment you were 1 week old. You started to display little sassinesses or little, whatever attitude you have going. And they notice and they've seen you and they've progressed 5 years old. I remember when you were 6, you were always, and I'll tell you, you always had this certain trait. Nobody knows you like your parents. And because they know you, they see the weaknesses in you, because so many of those weaknesses are their own. And they say, uh-oh. Daughter number 3 is displaying early patterns of the thing that was my ruination. No! I've often told kids this. The maddest you will ever see your parents, the angriest you will ever see your parents, is when they see you start to repeat the same stupid mistakes that they did. It's like, that's panic. I was like, no! This ended badly for me! No! And you're like, wow, what tripped the trigger on this one? Woo! Dad's going off. Wow! The capillaries in his head are bulging out, and he's got, and there's flame coming in his mouth and puffs of smoke out of his ears. What's happening? Because Dad recognizes what an idiot he was when he was 15, and you're starting to be the same idiot. And that's flying him into a panic, and panic turns into anger, and that's where it goes. They know you because you're an extension of themselves, and they have been there, done that. And that part's just purely mathematical. If you're 15 years old, parents are 40, let's see. I don't feel like doing the actual math on that, but it's more. I know that. It's at least twice. And but way more experience. They've been there, done that. I'm going to let you in on some parent secrets, kids. Let you in a little. Your parents might not tell you this, but guess what? Your parents, when they were 12 years old, had some crush on somebody who broke their little hearts. Your parents sent off little notes that said, do you like me? Yes, no, maybe, circle one of these things. Your parents got laughed at by someone they thought was attractive. Your parents got rejected at the playground. Your parents got left out of the reindeer games. Your parents got zits. Your parents had hair that wouldn't cooperate. Your parents cried in front of the mirrors because I can't go out like this. Your parents felt like jerks at some time or another. Your parents felt like dorks. Your parents felt like dweebs. Your parents got called after class. Your parents got notes from the teachers. Your parents got to the principal's office, some of them. Your parents got in big trouble. Your parents got grounded. Well, no, back in that day, it wasn't so much grounding as getting your backside warm. But one way or another, there was penalties, okay? Your parents got yelled at. Your parents got fingers shook at them. Your parents got disappointed from their parents. Like, what am I going to do with you? To your parents. That's all that stuff your parents went through. Now, that should make you think, oh, yeah, they're as big a loser as I am. What that means is they went through all the same stuff you did pretty much and lived to tell about it and managed to carve out an existence where they at least had enough wherewithal to produce a family. And these are the people you talk to. You want to talk to survivors. If you're on your way to Marine boot camp, who do you talk to? I want to talk to some guy that made it through, who's going to reassure me. I don't want to talk to the other trembling guy on the bus with me. What should we do? I don't know. Well, give me some advice from your non-knowledge. If you're starting some new job, he's like, I don't know how this is going to work. Talk to the person who's been working there a while. It just makes sense. If you're any kind of enterprise, any kind of new scary thing, you want to talk to someone who's been there. You've been on this ride before. What's it like? I need to know. Don't talk to the other person who has no experience, but that's what 67% of all kids do. Let me talk to the other person on the planet who has just as little experience with me and still not short on opinions, mysteriously. without all this. And that's who you listen to. P.S. This also applies to children of God. Who should I listen to? The one who knows you better than anyone? Mm-hmm. The one who doesn't just know your past and present, but also knows your future. Yeah, 2 years from now, you're going to wish you hadn't done this. I feel that thud in my heart of God not wanting me to do this. It's because he sees the future. I've got that added advantage even on your parents. This is going to happen down here unless you don't make this mistake now. Man, God, why are you up in my grill? Why are you impinging on my lifestyle? God, why are you poking and prodding? I'm getting tired of you controlling me, man. That's the American mindset. We're fiercely independent. Don't want people telling us what to do. But if someone knows you better than anyone and loves you more than anyone and has been there, done that, like Jesus has been there and done that. I blew first service away by telling them this simple statement: Jesus had zits. Now, some of you seem alarmed. What are you saying, man? You better not say that. I'm just quoting Hebrews 11. Jesus was tempted in every way that we are tempted, went through life. God went through the human experience just like we did. Now, okay, I guess there's a chance that perhaps he somehow skated through puberty without having any blemishes. And he can correct me when I get, by the way, I never had the zits. Okay, got it. Okay. But you get the point. Whether it's zits or something else, Jesus went through an awkward phase. Jesus had hair that wouldn't cooperate, no doubt. Jesus had facial hair that didn't come in the way he wanted it to. Jesus had members of the opposite sex making overtures at him at some point. Jesus was tempted. He's been there and done that. He knows what he's doing, and he's the one we should listen to. But the one delivering the message for you children is your parents. That's the formula. Love plus people who love you, people who know you, people who have been there, done that. And that pretty much rules out most of your friends, if not all, unless your friends are 40 years old. Now, and that would be weird. Now, here, let me tell you the story. Here's why parents will provide you with longer life. When I moved to Florida back in '92, we spent 3 years in Florida, and things are different down there. They've got different bugs, for instance. Just start with that, okay? Like I remember being at some cookout at my friend's house for the first time, and what looked like a reddish-brown Volkswagen Beetle went, what the? Are you guys seeing this? Or just laughing? Like, come on, I'm trying to step on it. It's like just laughing at my shoe. It's like, I don't care about you. Like, what was that? What did I just see? Like, that is the hugest cockroach I've ever seen in my life. And the Florida people just laugh. That's not a cockroach. Well, then, what in heaven's name is it? It looks like a cockroach. It's a palmetto. Hello. Well, what is different between a palmetto and a cockroach? Well, it's 6 times the size, and it flies. Oh. Whew. Feel better. I thought I saw a huge cockroach, but no, this one flies. Will fly into your house, and it's so much bigger. Will knock over furniture. This one will. But thank you for that. Another thing is the ants. The ant situation is significantly different in Florida and thereabouts. Okay, because I remember sitting on because it's barefoot weather. That's what they got all the time. That's the selling point. That's what lures us Northerners down there, mistakenly. Anyway, so I'm sitting around. The guys went, why aren't you wearing your flip-flops? Because it's barefoot weather, man. You got to watch out for the ants. The ants? I got to watch out for the ants? Yeah, you don't want those ants on you. I'm like, I grew up with ants, buddy. I don't care about ants on me. So this little cute little red ant just crawling across your foot. See? Yeah, you want to get that ant off you. This ant, look, this ant cannot possibly do it. Ow, man! Whoa! And you crunch it off and you smush it, and as you see that smushed ant body, the bite keeps happening. And that's what the mystery of the mystery of the fire ants is. They bite, and even after they're gone, you remove them. You keep looking back at that spot because you swear the ant is still there. It still keeps biting. Something about that poison just like keeps going, like 8 more shots of the same thing. It's like, that is some weird stuff. And so the Floridians just laugh. I told you about the ants. You should have told me more about the ants, okay? You did not warn me fiercely enough about these fire ants. They are a terrible thing. Horrible, horrible. And that's a picture of what parents are for you kids. Your parents have seen the fire ants. They've seen that. Yeah, I've seen this situation before when I was 14 years old. This is a fire. It's going to bite you. I don't see why. And that's the nature of also the fire ants. When you're inexperienced, they all look at this doesn't look like anything to me. It's not going to. Trust me on this. What do you know? You're 40. And then suddenly, ouch, 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 ouch. That's what I told you. Yeah, but I really need you to be able to blame. And so if you have warned me, that eliminates you from the list. I have to think of someone else. Your parents know where all the fire ants are hiding, okay? Because they've been bitten by the fire ants. If you can look behind their confident glare, you'll see a whole lot of scars and a whole lot of bite marks from all the things. My dad, when I first got an account, I was out of the house. Hey, make sure you keep your receipts, he said to me. Yeah, I got it, Dad. Because you guys don't lose those. Keep those receipts. Okay, Dad, got it. And make sure you keep the receipts. My dad had a tendency to say things in 17 duplicates, Make sure the receipts. Yes, Dad, the receipts. And I did. I kept my receipts. Some of them I kept in the glove compartment. Some were like mushed down in the seat. Some were in the door. Some were under the seat. Some were at home. I kept them just various places. And then I bounced a check. This can't be right. I know I put $100 in there. You have the receipt? Somewhere. I couldn't find it. Bank's like, we don't know anything about no $100 receipt, man. Wow, that costs money. Fire ants. Or my parents, situation. I don't like the look. I don't know. Why don't you like this girl I'm bringing home? I don't know. They can't even put their finger on it. They just know fire ant. I'm like, phew. And I found out I was dating a fire ant. It was pretty horrific. When I first started driving around, my dad says, make sure you check your oil. Check your oil. And that was another 17 times. So check your oil. Have you checked your oil lately? Yeah, I took care of it, Dad. Just check your oil. Check your oil and also check your oil. He's like, Dad, I get it. Check my oil. And then I was standing by my car on the side of the road. This car doesn't work anymore. When was the last time you checked your oil? I think I checked it a month ago. Dead car. Your parents love you enough to nag you, and your parents love you enough to make for uncomfortable social situations. That's how much I am willing to be unpleasant with you. That's the highest amount of love. Your friends don't want to be unpleasant with you, but your parents love you that much because I don't want you to be bitten with the fire ants. You will live longer. You will have better relationships if you listen. Children, obey your parents, for your time on the earth will be longer and more pleasant if you follow those principles from the people who have been bitten and scarred and chewed by the situations that you're now experiencing. I heard recently about a guy. It was a tragic fire in a house, and a dad went in to rescue his child and realized they couldn't get out in enough time. But to protect his child, he huddled over this small little 2-year-old baby. And when the firemen were finally able to get through, they found charred remains of the dad, but inside that living baby who was protected. What kind of insane behavior is that? That's parent love. And that's how much parents love you. I would rather cancel me so that you may continue. You're not going to find anybody who loves you, who is that much invested in you, than that exact thing. And that's what Jesus asked us to do, is to listen to the one who loves us more than anything else. It's simple. It's so simple and yet so difficult. Just listen to the one who loves you more than anybody else. And on earth, it's your parents. And in the big, broad arena of life, it's our God. Let's pray. Father, I pray that you'll just give us the sense of honor, what it means to honor you. And Father, and obey you when we don't feel like it, and obey you when our desires tell us otherwise, and obey you when it doesn't even make sense to us to obey you. Father, I pray that we will obey you that vividly and that ferociously. And it's in your Son's name I pray. Amen.